Okay, so first let's review numerical versus qualitative identity. Any kind of identity is talking about sameness, right? Identity means sameness. But we could mean sameness in many different ways, right? That's what an analogy is, right? An analogy is to say that two things are the same in some ways, and even though they're different in other ways, right? So when you say the night is like a horse, right? That's a kind of analogy. It's a simile, if you remember all your high school English terms. Um, but the night is not like a horse in every way, just in some ways. It's not, for example, it doesn't have a heart, right? A horse has a heart, but a knight doesn't. We can talk about identity in the same way. So we can talk about numerical identity, and we can talk about qualitative identity. We'll talk about qualitative identity first. It's when two things are the same in all their qualities. Or let's say have all the same. So two things can be qualitatively identical but be different things, right? So identical twins, if they were truly identical twins, and if they had all the same mental makeup, would be qualitatively identical, but they're different people, right? But they're the same in all of their qualities. Like this one has brown hair, that one has brown hair. This one wears a size 8.5 shoe, that one wears a size 8.5 shoe. This one believes that donuts are the best breakfast. That one believes donuts are the same breakfast. And all the way down the line, they have all the same properties or qualities in that same sense. Physical properties or qualities, mental qualities, emotional qualities, all the way down. They'd be exactly qualitatively identical, but they would not be numerically identical. So numerical identity is being one and the same thing. And now I just gave you a case where two things are qualitatively identical, but not numerically identical, but you can actually do it the same way, or you can do it vice versa too. So two things are numerically identical, but not qualitatively identical. So I am numerically identical with my 8-year-old self. That is, I'm one and the same person. I'm the same person as my 8-year-old self. We're the same person, but we're not qualitatively identical. I'm not 8 years old, for example. I don't have my appendix. My 8-year-old self. Well, let's talk about my 7-year-old self because I think it was my 8-year-old birthday. I was in the hospital getting my appendix taken out. My 7-year-old self has an appendix. I don't. So we have all these different qualities, like having an appendix. I don't have that quality, but my 7-year-old self does. But we're the same person. So we're not qualitatively identical. We're numerically identical, though. We're not two different people. We're the same person. Numerical identity has three formal properties. It is transitive, it is symmetrical, and it is reflexive. Now, some of y'all probably have no idea what any of this means, and some of y'all may have some idea what it means, maybe from different various math classes, but transitivity is a property of a relation. If A stands in relationship R to B, and B stands in relationship R to C, then A stands in that relationship R to C. Okay, that's really formal and abstract. Let me give you an example of a transitive relation. Sisterhood. Let's talk about biological sisterhood as a transitive relation. Here's why. If Mandy is the sister of Amy, and Amy is the sister of JC, then Mandy is the sister of JC. Same with brotherhood. Same with biologically related to as a relation. So if Justin is biologically related to Bobby and Bobby is biologically related to Barbara, then Justin is biologically related to Barbara. So you can see how that follows this pattern. Numerical identity is transitive because if 7-year-old Justin is identical to 16-year-old Justin and 16-year-old Justin is identical to 31-year-old Justin, then 7-year-old Justin is identical to 31-year-old Justin. Symmetrical just means if A stands in the relationship to B, then B stands in that relationship to A. Sisterhood is another symmetrical relation. If Mandy is sister to Amy, then Amy is sister to Mandy, right? Let me give you an example of a non-symmetrical, or actually an asymmetrical relationship. Fatherhood, right? That is a non-symmetrical relationship. If Justin is Jim Gideon's father, then Jim Gideon is not Justin's father. Okay, so numerical identity is symmetrical in the sense that if 31-year-old Justin is identical to 7-year-old Justin, then 7-year-old Justin is identical to 31-year-old Justin. And finally, reflexivity happens whenever a relation always holds between the thing and itself. So between A and A. I think of it some reflexive. So here, sisterhood is not a good example because no one is her own sister. So it is a non-reflexive relationship. But let's see, what's a good reflexive relationship? Maybe being in the same location as, right? So yes, you can have non-reflexive cases of being in the same location, like the car and the house are in the same location, or the car and the garage are in the same location, but everything necessarily is in the same location as itself, right? This pen that I'm holding is in the same location as itself. So in the same location is a reflexive property. So all transitivity, symmetricality, or symmetry, reflexivity, these are all formal properties of properties. And they are all properties that numerical identity has, right? Numerical identity is transitive, symmetrical, and reflexive.